Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers IAS Academy Bengaluru. This is the 400 plus GS series for Mains 2025 and this is the final episode in this series. Today we will complete GS4 where we will discuss religious and philosophical wisdom for your GS4 answers. How you can inculcate key principles from your various religious scriptures into your answers. Okay, with this we'll wind up our GS 400 plus series for mains. Okay, so we'll start the video. First is with respect to ethics, human interface. The syllabus is essence, determinants, and consequences of ethics. So Bhagavad Gita 2.47. No need to remember this 2.47. Just remember Bhagavad Gita and remember this particular word, that is Nikshama Karma. Nikshama Karma. Karmane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. It talks about duty without attachment. Nikshama without attachment. Karma is your duty. That is, talks about integrity and selfless service. That is, a civil servant should do Nikshama Karma. That is, duty without any expectations in return. Duty without any expectations. This can be used whenever you are addressing the issue of corruption, whenever you are addressing the issue of selfless service, whenever you are addressing the issue of probity in governance. So, Nikshama Karma. Next is Bhagavad Gita talks about Sthita Pragna. What is Sthita Pragna? That is, when a man gives up all desires and remains satisfied in the self alone, he is called as Sthita Pragna. That is, talks about balance, equanimity, and inner stability. Okay, this Sthita Pragna can also be connected with emotional intelligence. Okay, remember the keyword, that is Sthita Pragna. Next is Bible, which talks about golden rule. No need to remember Matthew 7:12 or 7:12. Just remember the golden rule. That is, do unto others as you would have them done to you. Okay, so meaning do to others what you want others to do to you. Okay, your action should be reciprocal in nature. Do always good because you want other people to do good to you. If you are going to do bad to others, people are going to do bad to you. So always keep this in mind, that whenever you are doing something, make sure that you are doing something which you would like others to do to you. Okay, next, Quran talks about let not hatred of others swerve you from justice. Okay, it talks about impartiality and fairness. Despite all your hatredness towards any individual person, that shouldn't come in between your justice. That shouldn't come in between your judgment. The judgment between should be free from all kinds of hatred. Okay, next, Dhammapada, which is a Buddhist verse 182, that is, cease to do evil, learn to do good, purify the mind. That is stepwise moral conduct. How? First, cease to do the evil, stop doing evil, learn to do good, and then finally purify the mind. Okay, next, talks about Thirukural, written by Thiruvalluvar, which is also called as Dravidian Veda, or also called as Dravidian Bible, or Dravidian Veda, or Dravidian Bhagavad Gita. Okay, it talks about virtue is what yields fame and joy, all else is burden. Virtue is what yields fame and joy, all else is burden. So it is talking about primacy of dharma. That is, dharma is alone which yields fame and joy, and everything else is just a burden onto you. Okay, next is Guru Granth Sahib of Sikh philosophy. It talks about truth is high, but higher still is a truthful living. Okay, it talks about authenticity and righteous action. It is not only telling the truth but also living by the words. You have to live by the words. That is, talks about truthfulness. Next, attitude. The content, structure, function, relation to thought and behavior are in the syllabus. Now, Bhagavad Gita 6.6. It talks about, for him who has conquered the mind is the best friend. For one who has failed, it is the worst enemy. It talks about attitude. If you have no control over your mind, then you are already lost. So you should have control over mind. How do you control your mind? With a proper attitude. Okay, talks about the significance of attitude management and self mastery. Okay, next talks about Bhagavad Gita again. He who is free from malice, friendly and compassionate, free from the possessiveness and ego, that devotee is dear to me. It talks about compassionate attitude. A person who is compassionate in nature is closer to me. Who is me? Not me. It is Lord Krishna. Who is Lord Krishna? He is the Lord Vishnu. He is nothing but incarnation of God. Okay, he says that who is free from malice, who is free from possessiveness and ego, who is friendly and compassionate, is such a devotee that is very dear to God. So you should be free from malice, and you should be free from possessiveness and ego, and you should be compassionate and friendly. Next, Bible. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. It talks about carrying a positive attitude. Always carry a positive attitude despite every negative thing that surrounds you. Always have a positive mindset so that all the negative things surrounding you just vanishes away and it becomes good. Okay. Next, Tirukural 986. The word is sustained by kindly, not by the cruel hearted. Again talks about the kindness as an attitude. Next, Quran, that is, Allah commands justice, kindness, and generosity, forbids immorality, oppression, and rebellion. Again, talks about value-based attitude. Talks about the importance of justice, kindness, generosity, and also talks about evils of immorality, oppression, and rebellion. Next, Dharmapada, mind precedes all things. If one speaks or acts with pure mind, happiness follows. Okay, so it talks about thought and attitude link. There should be congruence between thought and attitude. There should be synergy between thoughts and attitude. When there is no synergy between thoughts and attitude, it leads to dissonance. It leads to dissonance, which further leads to frustration. Okay, so next, with respect to aptitude is nothing but a like skill to acquire a particular thing. Okay, skill to acquire a particular thing or something to acquire a skill. So aptitude and foundation value for civil service. Bhagavad Gita talks about by devotion to one's natural duty, man attains perfection. By devotion to one's natural duty, man attains perfection. It talks about professional aptitude and role ethics. When you show devotion to one's duty, then only you will be able to learn new things. Then only you will be able to adapt to new things. It talks about professional aptitude. Bhagavad Gita. Better to do one's own duty imperfectly than others perfectly. So it talks about role fidelity, dharma of duty. That is, one should always uphold his role. So you can connect this with role ethics as well. Okay. Next, Bible talks about whoever is faithful in little is faithful in so much. Talks about integrity and reliability. That is, always be contempt or always be faithful even if you are getting very little. This is very significant when you want to avoid corruption or when you want to overcome corruption. Next, Quran. Stand out firmly for justice even against yourself or your kin. Okay, so if injustice is committed by yourself or your own close kin, you should always stand against the injustice and stand for the justice. Next is Tirukural. That is, a ruler is he who rules without bias or selfish motives. It talks about the ideas that a ruler should possess, meaning non-partisanship. Next is Guru Granth Sahib. See no stranger, see all as brothers and sisters. It talks about universal brotherhood. That is, inclusiveness in public safety and public service aptitude. Okay. Next, economical intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. I was distracted by something going on out here. So next is emotional intelligence. Bhagavad Gita talks about emotional balance. That is, one whose mind is unperturbed in sorrow, free from desiring pleasure, free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady wisdom. It talks about self-regulation or sthita prajna ideal. Okay, the sthita prajna ideal is one whose mind is unperturbed in sorrow, free from desiring pleasure, and free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a age of or sage of steady wisdom, or a person with emotional intelligence or emotional balance. Next, Bhagavad Gita talks about empathy. He who regards all beings alike, both in pleasure and in pain, is considered a supreme yogi. Okay, a higher self is found in empathy and perspective talking. Next is Bible. Better a patient man than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Again, it talks about anger management. Again, it talks about controlling the impulses. Again, it talks about importance of patience and self-regulation. Next, Quran. Those who restrain anger and pardon people, God loves the doers of good. Again, it talks about forgiveness and emotional control. Next is Dhammapada, that is, hatred never ceases by hatred, but only by love. It talks about significance of compassion, kindness, or love, and how you can bring a resolution to a conflict. That is not by hatred, but by love. You can connect this with Gandhiji's Satyagraha principle as well, or Gandhiji's non-violence principle as well. Excuse me. Next is Tirukural. That is, the wound caused by fire heals, but not the wound caused by harsh words. So it talks about significance of communication and empathy. Okay. Next, with respect to foundational values of civil service. First one is Bhagavad Gita. That is vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, purity, freedom from malice, absence of happiness. Absence of haughtiness, marks of divine nature. So these are the values of an ethical leader. These are the foundational values of civil servants. That is vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, purity, freedom from malice, and absence of haughtiness. Okay, these are all the values an ethical leader should possess. Next, Bible. By justice, a king gives a country stability, but greedy ruler tear it down. So here also it talks about anti-corruption or ethical leadership. Next is Quran. It is, do not consume wealth unjustly, nor bribe judges. Okay, again similar to the above principles. That is bringing transparency. Next is Dhammapada. That is, conquer anger with non-anger, evil with good, miser with generosity, and liar with truth. So it talks about virtue ethics. For every non-virtuous value, there is an alternate virtuous value. So you should deal this non-virtuous with virtuous values. Next is Guru Granth Sahib. Recognize the human race as one. Talks about universal brotherhood, fraternity, equality. Next, Tirukural. That is, the wealth of a state is righteousness. Without it, no state can endure. Okay. So in a sustainable governance, what you need is righteousness. This can also connect with justice, equality, okay, and freedom. Next, probity in governance. Bhagavad Gita says, therefore, without attachment, always perform your duty, for by performing an action without an attachment, one attains supreme. So here you can always bring about nikshama karma again. Okay, nikshama karma. Next, Bible. Faith without work is dead. Faith without works is dead. Okay. Next, Quran. The most honored in God's sight is the most righteous among you. So it talks about equality in governance. Next, Dhammapada. It talks about, not by passing judgment does one become just. The wise weigh both right and wrong. Okay. So fairness in administration. We should not bypass the judgment. We should rather address both the right and wrong. Finally, Guru Granth Sahib. That is, he who does not serve the people shall be punished by truth. Again talks about accountability. Okay, for every action a public servant takes, he is accountable to his subjects. Who are the subjects? Citizenry. Next is Tirukural. That is, A sceptre of a just king is straight, protecting all without bias. This is talking about rule of law. Okay, rule of law. So these are the important principles from various religious scriptures which you can use in your answer, which you can use in your case studies or ethics answers. So this is the idea behind it. So you'll be able to score 130 plus in ethics with all the 4 videos combined, and also you'll be totally able to score 400 plus in GS with all the case studies, examples, data points, committees which are provided in the previous videos. So the aim was to help you ace this mains. I think I have partly been successful in this aspect. So hopefully you will get the best out of these initiatives, and also I wish you all the very best. The exam is very near, it is almost tomorrow, so wish you all the best. Stay calm, stay relaxed, you already done enough. Now the only thing is just give your best. Give your best like there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow and everything is present only. Believe in yourself and think that this year is going to be mine. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.